Hey, and welcome. Miss Kira Speaks. Before we get started, I ask that you watch the videos till the end, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. We're back again for another episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 14, Episode 8, Healthy Glows and Low Blows. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I am so glad that we had the week off, I'm assuming for the 4th of July, so that your girl could get all caught up and we're ready for this coming Sunday. So the episode opens as it normally does, checking in on the ladies. We see Kenya at home with Brooklyn, asking her what she learned at school. Monday, Tuesday, the check-in is real, y'all. Too cute. We see Drew doing Drop It with Drew when she calls to check in with her business partner Jackie. She wants to have a party to celebrate some of their biggest losers. Sanya is at home chatting with her sister Shari while Deuce is down for a nap. Sanya says Ross traveling creates a gap in the house and she wonders if she still needs a nanny. She's dreading having the conversation, but she doesn't think she wants to have another child. With Ross being out of the house, she doesn't feel like she has the help that she needs. In her confessional, Sanya says when she had Deuce, Ross wasn't there emotionally or physically. She wants him to acknowledge her feelings and commit to making the changes. Sanya and her sister, they discuss the importance of having a career. Sanya loves to work. That's when she's the best version of herself, and she wants to find that balance. Her sister can see how as a mom she's tapped out, but apparently Ross can't. And child, when Sanya said something about, I don't know if I want to have another baby, and her sister said, please don't have another baby, I said, damn, that's deep. So we see Sheree and she's at the sauna and Marlo joins her and they're waiting for Kandi. They're going to do infrared, which burns active calories. It's a workout without actually doing a workout. And Sheree says, that's right up Marlo's alley, and Kandi's too. Child, as soon as Kandi gets there, she says she is not getting in the sauna because she has somewhere to be and she is not trying to mess her hair up. And I said, did Kandi not know that they were going to the sauna before they got there? I was like, okay, Kandi. But you can see when she got there, Kandi was like, she already knew there's going to be some BS, so I guess it is what it is. So Kandi, she sits outside by the shower and she chats with the ladies. Her and Sheree start to talk about a la carte and how she had to do a sex scene on the first day. I mean, it was only 6 episodes, so I guess she did have to get right to the business. Then Marlo basically asked Sheree if she's ready to address Kandi. I said, oh, here we go. So Sheree starts off the conversation. She's like, Kandi girl, now you know I love you. And I think we had a really good relationship, especially when we were the smallest child. I have forgot all about the smalls, but the producers, they rolled that beautiful being footage. Sheree said she used to be at Kandi's house for the holidays and whatnot, and she misses that. So I guess I stand corrected. I did not really think that Kandi and Sheree were friends like that. More like co-workers, but maybe I was wrong. I guess we'll see. Sheree was going through with Tyrone and she expected Kandi to check in on her. Kandi says she was waiting on Sheree to let her know exactly what she wanted her to know. Sheree says it's about checking in on me. And at first I was like, okay, I guess, Kandi could have shot her a little text message and said, hey girl, let me know if you want to talk. I'm here, or something to that effect. But I guess I do see both sides of it. So Marlo asked Kandi if she thinks that that's something she can do. And Kandi wants to know why they expect so much of her when they don't do the same in return. Damn. At that point, I was saying to myself, okay, ladies, Kandi has a point. You can't expect things from others that you're not willing to do yourself. Kandi in her confessional says it's bullshit. And why do they think they're owed so much from her? Marlo says she was a foster child, but Kandi was raised better. She was raised with a family. And Kandi interjects and says, oh, no. That's no reason that you can't be a good friend. And with that, I agree. Marlo calms down and she says it's a shame where they're at. Do you even know what's going on with me? And Kandi's like, no, I don't. Then again, Marlo, you could have picked up the phone and called. So Marlo explains what's going on with her sister, and she basically says, sometimes you just need people to reach out And Kandi explains, listen, my own family is telling me that they need more time from me. And Marlo's like, well, if everybody's telling you the same thing, then that means that's something you need to work on. And Candy's face, baby, it was mine. Like, what? Are you serious? Because my family and you, two different things. Apples and oranges. So Sheree says they should be there for each other. And Kandi interrupts and starts yelling that she's frustrated. And y'all have to go ahead and watch Speak on it, because Kandi said they cut out a lot of that conversation because it did really look 0 to 100 in that moment. You hear Kandi in the background kind of saying she tried to help them both, and she did. I think she got Marlo a show, which she fumbled on her own. She helped Sheree get back on the show. And so then Marlo comes over and she tries to give her a hug to diffuse the situation. In her confessional, Sheree says she's not a yes friend, but she didn't expect Kandi to have a tantrum. Marlo and Sheree, they both agreed that they will do better, and in the end, we hear Kandi saying the whole conversation is just draining. So we're back at Sanya's house, and she's planning that dinner for Ross, and her mom comes in and she asks her mom to keep an eye on Deuce so her and Ross can have some private time. Sanya says she enjoys cooking for him because it makes hubby happy. She was in there making some seared salmon. I just made that the other night. It was so good. Meanwhile, while she's cooking, Deuce comes in. He's looking for French fries, just Deuce being Deuce. And I was like, he reminds me so much of my youngest, who's 6. And I know Deuce is like 4, but kids, them boys be boying sometimes. They don't give a what about what you have going on. So Ross comes in to eat, and Miss Sanya, she's all dressed for her husband, looking nice. And they sit down and they start, talking, making small talk, talking about traveling. So Sanya says even with everyone there, it's totally different without him being there. And then in her confessional, she talks about Ross opening the chauffeur company and not expecting him to be gone so much, but he's got to run back and forth with the business, and sometimes he's driving, and it's just more than she initially expected because the business is in Texas and she's in Atlanta, and I'm guessing she moved to Atlanta for the show. So Ross says he wants the same support he had as an athlete as a business owner. He doesn't want to feel like he's just leaving the family when he's working and that he's not supporting her. Sanya says she hears him and she wants to be able to do that. And we get into this baby conversation, and child, Sanya was talking slow and stammering and didn't know what to say. You could tell she didn't really want to say it, but it needed to be said. She tells him she doesn't know if it's the best idea to have another baby. She doesn't know if it's realistic, and she didn't expect all the traveling. She tells him she's overwhelmed, that even with 10 people there, she doesn't feel that she's getting the support that she needs to be at her best. Ross is bummed out that him working makes her feel like they shouldn't have another child. Sanya asks him with everything that's going on if he still thinks it's a good idea. And Ross, he does. He says that's not going to change. Sanya wants him to be open-minded and make the decision together. And she asks him if he'll resent her if she doesn't have another baby. And he says basically he doesn't know. Child, and that right there is a yes. If Sanya does not have another baby, Ross will definitely resent her. And as a woman, I am not telling this lady to go ahead and have another baby just because her husband will resent her. My thoughts and opinions are Ross is either going to need to get some more help with that business so he can be present for that pregnancy and also the early years of that child's childhood, because she's going to need the help. I was going to say nanny, but she said the nanny and the family and all of that is not enough. So he needs to be there. So either he needs to get more help in the business. So like I said, he could be there for the pregnancy and for the early years, or maybe they're just going to have to up and move back to Texas, but he has to be there. She can't just have that baby and he just think he's going to be gone. Then she's going to resent him. Moving along. So we see Sheree at her beautiful home, and she's talking to her new business manager, I can't remember, T-I-E, something like that. And she tells her she has lots of fabrics and so many manufacturers, and she just buys fabrics and the fabrics are just sitting there. I'm about tired of She by Sheree. So Sheree is going on and on and on about She by Sheree, and then production shows us spring, summer, September 2017 samples, the shade, child. And then the new business manager is telling her that she just hasn't had the right people. So Marlo, she has the boys at Les Archives cleaning up because apparently since that phone call with their mother, they've been cutting up. So Michael's like, so you can sit and get paid, but I can't? Kids. Marlo's like, yes, because I'm the owner. And when you're the boss, you can call the shots. So Marlo in her confessional says she's trying to keep an eye on the boys and keep them busy. And then she starts talking to them about all the different jobs she's had. McDonald's and the car wash and Wet Seal Child. Y'all remember Wet Seal? A time. So she asked them 10 years from now, if she wasn't there, would they keep the business going? And William says yes. And I said, oh. And then she tells them about a phone call she had with Jasmine. And we're like, who's Jasmine? Apparently, Jasmine is their big sister who's 27 and lives in another state. So Marlo asked her to have a conversation with the mom because she doesn't want the boys to go through the same thing she went through. So we're going to see how that whole thing shakes out. So the ladies, they meet at a place to make candles, and Kandi and Kenya are there. And then we see Miss Moneta come in. Moneta recently got married, and in her confessional, Kandi says that's her girl. She writes books, and she has 2 children with Neo, and Kandi says it's always good vibes when Moneta is around. And did you guys see Moneta on Speak On It last month? I just love her. Have you guys ever seen Atlanta Exes? If you haven't, I think you can catch it on BET+. I really enjoy her being on the show, but I kind of hope she stays a friend because I don't want to get Miss Moneta wrapped up in all the mess. You know how the ladies do. So they talk briefly about the wedding, and then they start talking about the Kandi Cares turkey giveaway. And Kenya's like, that was brought up the other day. She tells them that Marlo was complaining about Kandi donating used clothes and not being a good friend. Kandi tells them about that BS meeting at the sauna, and Moneta's like, Kandi's a good friend. She really shows up and is supportive. Kenya says how supportive Kandi was when she was on Dancing with the Stars, and then Kandi in her confessional says she thinks Marlo is trying to start a hate campaign against Kandi. She definitely is, and we're not sure why. I guess now that she's got the peach, she figures let's go for the top dog, but this ain't what you want, Marlo. So Kenya asked the ladies if they got Drew's invitation. Then production plays a video of Drew inviting the ladies to the Drop It with Drew event. Kandi and Kenya try to explain to Moneta what exactly Drop It with Drew is, and they just say, you should come. Kandi says, how was the honeymoon? To use those bedroom candy products I gave you? Moneta says, and she did. And yes, y'all are going to get this marketing and promotion. So y'all go ahead and hate while Miss Kandi gets a bag. So Kenya's like, don't get me started on the bedroom, Kandi. So Kandi starts to explain to Moneta about what happened with these doggone vibrating panties. And Kenya has to jump in because Moneta at that point was on Kandi's side. And Kenya's like, yes, but if somebody's husband is too close, they can zap your panties. And Moneta was like, And Kandi was like, all right, girl. And she kind of went back on her side. And then Kenya starts talking about the delivery of the vibrating panties with the, scantily clad folks. So Kenya says she's gonna have a naked clown come over Kandi's house with the invite while Blaze is there. And Kandi's like, it's okay, I'm gonna send Blaze in the back and I'm gonna continue to laugh. And I believe it because Kandi, she's with the shits. So from there, they start going back and forth, child. They getting all loud in this place. I know these places hate to have these ladies in. They probably get the business, but to be in somebody's establishment screaming and yelling, and the poor lady standing there waiting to do the next step with the candles, they're just going back and forth and back. So Kenya brings up that something was inappropriate, and Kandi was like, oh, but you thought it was appropriate in front of my husband to say that you would want to get with me, or something to that effect. And they bring up a scene from last year, Cynthia's engagement dinner, where basically Kenya did say, Kandi could get it. So finally, we get to the next steps of these candles, y'all. Moneta had to be like, okay, let's have some wine. And they talked back and forth about it a little more because Kenya was like, I ain't no yes man. And she's not. And then they just kind of, diffuse the situation because this is what Kenya and Kandi do. And then everything is all good. So basically, Kandi says that's the good thing about her and Kenya, that they can move past things, unlike her and Marlo. So the ladies, they finally have to smell these candles, and they're smelling Kandi's candle. They also have to name the candle. Kandi's like, you like it? Okay, because that's Kandi's pee. Yeah, finally got to smell it. And they have themselves a good old kiki. So we are finally at the Drop It with Drew event because Drew wants her friends to know it's a legitimate business. So Drew, she takes her weight, and the ladies start to filter in, and they're checking their weight on the scale. And child, I was surprised that they was so ready, willing, and able to have their weights displayed on national TV. Most of the ladies were like 140s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Somebody might have been up to 80s. That might have been Marlo, but Marlo's very tall. I was like, yeah, I'm in there somewhere. But I was impressed that the ladies were like, stepping on the scale, here you go. In her confessional, Kandi wants to know if this is really a real Drop It With Drew facility. And production, being shady as they may, goes back to 3 days ago where there's no Drop It With Drew signs. There's like a weight loss couple of signs. You know, it is what it is. So Sanya, Sheree, and Marlo, they're all in the car headed there. And Sanya's talking about she's happy that she got the invite and not the uninvite or the disinvite, whichever one it is. And child, I was just like, Drew better than me, because I wouldn't invite Sanya's butt nowhere. I'm about sick of these two. And in her confessional, Sanya's like, you know, she wants to get back to a good place with Drew, which, like I said, I'm tired of these two, because in the last episode, she was saying that it didn't make no sense to try to go anywhere with Drew, and blah, and blah, and blah. So Marlo says she would have been petty and definitely disinvited her. So they pull up to the spot and they got jokes about the signage. Marlo talking about she got that printed out at FedEx, and they just laugh and laugh and laugh. So everyone is in the building now except for Kenya, and Drew and Sanya, they hug, and Sanya's like, I can't believe, child, it's bullshit. They hug, fake, 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 nice, nice, nice. Marlo, she walks right past Kandi. Kandi clocks it. So Sheree comes in and the ladies are marveling over Sheree's ass, and child, I aspire. Then she's got her She by Sheree yoga mat, and she tells the ladies that the tights, the little leggings she got on one, the yoga mat, and she's got a water bottle. That's the prototype for She by Sheree, coming soon. So production, being the shady tree that they are, they have going across the bottom screen, available in spring, summer, September. Child. So Ralph comes over and Sanya decides to have a conversation with Ralph about Ross. And I was like, why would this be the person that you would go to for advice for anything? So she tells him that they were struggling about having baby number 2 when she wanted to get his perspective. And child, again, why? So she points out that he's not here now. When is it really the right time to have a baby? And Ralph says something about them having 3 kids and they're just as busy, if not more busy. And Sanya threw some shady ass comment like, y'all play like you're busy. And I was like, damn, a mess. So Sanya's the whole thing is basically she would be the one to have to slow down, but Ralph's gonna go with Ross's side. You guys can do it. You just have to commit. You have to invest. You have to make it happen. Okay, Ralph. Okay. So after Marlo and Sheree weigh in, Marlo's like, Kandi. And Candy's like, oh, so you talking to me? How? She's like, I've been talking to you. She's like, you walked in and walked right past me. And I also heard you was getting a little I Hate Kandi campaign going at the last dinner. So Marlo's trying to say that basically they were all saying things and they're like, where's Kenyon? And, you know, Candy's like, you know what? Never mind. Let's just enjoy this whole Drop It With Drew thing and we will pick up this conversation at another time. So one lady, she gets up there and she says she lost 100 pounds and I think 50 weeks. And I was like, that's almost a year, but that's really, really good. Like, kudos to her. Your girl, she probably needs to lose 10 to 15 pounds. But, you know, I like burgers, wings, pizza. So as they're celebrating the ladies, Todd, he gets a call on the phone. He tells Kandi to grab her stuff. They go outside. Something's going on. Kandi's like, what's going on? Monietta, she follows outside. She wants to, you know, see if everything's okay, which is fine because, like, they really like friends. They really cool for real. So they find out that somebody jumped the gate and is on their property, and that shit is scary. So like I said, Monietta came out to see if everything was okay. Marlo and Sheree, they decide to come out and be nosy too, and I was just like, black people, I tell you sometimes. So apparently, dude was sitting on their porch, and when their friend Katrina that was watching the kids realized it wasn't Amazon, she called the police. So now Kandi and Todd, they got to head out there and make sure she's okay, the kids are okay. So that's all for them. So everybody else, they head inside to start the workout, and Marlo is complaining the whole time, and the workout is a little bit advanced, I will say. So Marlo in her confessional says she doesn't work out, she gets lipo. Isn't that what Drew does? In her confessional, Sheree says between her horrible mommy makeover and the way she's doing these moves, she can tell why Drew still looks like a busted can of biscuits. And I was like, ouch. Unnecessary shade. Like, it's giving real mean girl. What happened to the nice classy shade? Like, that was uncalled for, Sheree. Not nice. So Kenya, she comes in late and she just decides she's gonna stand on the side being fabulous and support, like, hey, come on ladies. And she tells them that she was late because she had to go to an open house for Brooklyn about, her school or whatever. So Sanya tells Marlo, like, look, that was too advanced. Drew couldn't even keep up. But then she turns around and she tells Drew the same thing to her face. And Drew basically is like, listen, we have modifications. Jackie. So she calls her business partner, Jackie, on over. So Jackie starts talking about how many classes they have and the locations. And then everybody starts asking questions because, Sanya, she was asking questions about the workout. And then Kenya, she jumps in and starts asking questions. Drew, she's trying to interject and interrupt as she normally does. So the lady tells them that she brought Drew in for the Atlanta market. And Sanya's like, oh, so she's basically just the face of this lady's business. So production, they play some footage of Drew saying she's been doing it for years, I guess to allude that she was lying. And I could swear that Drew said before that she was the face of the company. And I wanted to go rewind. And so I did just that. So I did my due diligence and I went back to episode 1 to the scene that Sanya and Drew were working out in the gym. And what did I find? It was in her confessional. In her confessional, Drew says she was approached to be the face of this amazing program. And I was like, because I thought she had told Sanya this already. That's why I was like, why do they keep coming at her? This girl had already basically said that it was somebody else's company that she came on board with and became the face of it and blah, blah, blah kind of situation. But no, she just said it in the confessional. Never said it to Sanya. So I'm like, you could have been told the ladies this and avoided all the stress and aggravation. So Sanya in the confessional is like, Drew's not an entrepreneur and that's okay. And Kenya's like, she asked the lady what the previous name of the business is. And then Jackie's trying to talk and Drew's trying to talk. And Kenya's trying to tell Drew like, hush, we don't want to hear from you. We want to hear what Jackie has to say. So Kenya in her confessional says, listen, it is a legitimate business, but Drew just doesn't have anything to do with the business side of it. And Drew was like, all right. Because Drew's feeling grilled. And she's like, y'all are grilling me when some of y'all have taken decades to start your business. So Drew's like, we're still waiting on She by Sheree. I see you got a mat today. And Kenya's like, oh, you got a mat? So she goes over, she starts looking. She's like, oh, it matches my outfit. And Kenya starts to roll the mat up, child, a mess. So then Sheree's like, you're just the face of something. I could have been the face of so many different things. Because, earlier she was basically saying she just want to slap her name on something. So I don't know if that was relating to what we found out later about Drew. Because that was in a confessional. So they talk a minute and then Monietta, standing in for Kandi, brings up what happened. And they're like, well, how did the conversation get back to Kandi? So Marlo was like, Kenya, did you tell her? And did... Kenya says, yes, it came from her because she reports back accurately. So Marlo is basically trying to bring Sheree into that. And Kenya's like, she wasn't really focused on that. She just don't F with you. And that's just that. So Marlo, she starts getting silly talking about, oh, she's going to die. She can't eat at 5-star restaurants anymore. What is she going to do? Kenya's like, go ahead and talk to her about it. So they start to talking and yelling over each other. And Kenya says that Kandi basically realized all the things that Marlo was not giving. So then in her confessional, Marlo says that Kenya likes to run games. She pretends to love her and then she stabs her in the back. And I was like, Pot, have you met Kettle? Because the whole thing honestly was the audacity to me. For Sheree and Marlo, mostly Marlo. Y'all took that girl to that sauna and jumped all over her about being a bad friend. Meanwhile, at Sanya's dinner, y'all went outside and was talking enough shit about both of them being hoes back in the day. Kandi and Kenya. I ain't gonna edit it. It just is what it is. But I was just like, really? Again, the audacity. So Marlo was like, can you teach me how to be a friend, Kenya? Kenya's like, you don't know how to be a friend. Well, that's why I want you to teach me. Well, what about your relationship? Let's talk about Mark. Let's talk about your fake booty. Ciao. there's the Marlo that I know, and back and forth and forth and back, screaming and yelling and talking over each other. Learn how to keep a man, Marlo says. Old Marlo, just old. Kenya's like, Marlo, where is your man? Marlo's like, I don't have a man. I don't want a man, but you settled for one that belittled you. Kenya's like, yes, I did, and I got a beautiful child from it. What did you get? Ouch. So it's more bickering back and forth, and Marlo steps up in Kenya's face, and Kenya makes her fingers and hands wide, y'all, wide. I mean, so close. I was like, she gonna mush her in the face, and they gonna start, fighting. That Detroit came all out of Kenya. Kenya was all kinds of FUs, and it wasn't looking good for Marlo. So Kenya is going off, and the ladies had to pull them apart. And Marlo, she go ahead and puts her hands behind her back. And Kenya, child, she walks out. Kenya's like this, walking out. So Kenya's like, you're not about to just walk up on me. Calling Marlo all kinds of out of her names. Like I said, it got very real. And she, the whole time, like I said, she got the yoga mat. She about to get in the car, and Sheree's like, can I get? And she was like, oh yeah, girl. She's like, it's a prototype. I'm gonna get you one. So Kenya leaves, and Marlo's outside, and she's talking to Monietta, and she's talking about she's from the hood. She doesn't talk about people's children, mother, or husband. And production, they rolled the footage to determine that was a lie. So Todd and Kandi, they get home, they talk to police, everybody's safe and sound, they're inside. Kandi heads inside to talk to Katrina and ask what happened. So apparently Sir was sitting there, and Katrina, I guess, approached him. Well, I don't know if she was out the window, and he said he was looking for Kandi. She's like, well, Kandi doesn't live here. And he's like, she doesn't? Because Sir had climbed over, I think, both the community gate and Kandi's gate. So he walked off. He had bags. She locked, I guess, or closed their gate back or something to that effect. He put his bags back over the fence, something weird like that. But there was actual footage of this young man and audio and everything. So we got to see what actually happened. So in the video footage, Sir says he's Beyonce's family member. He's a songwriter, and he was asked to come there by Kandi Burruss because of the fact that he's T.I.'s son. And I said, uh-oh, T.I., you got a son out here you don't know nothing about. But seriously, I shouldn't laugh because clearly Sir has some mental issues going on. So, Katrina called 911, and Kandi's relieved that everybody is okay. So back at the gym, Sanya tells Drew that she wants to talk to her, and she comes in peace. Again, sick of these two ladies and this sad ass storyline. So Sanya apologizes if she was in attack mode. She said, basically everything just spiraled. And Drew says that basically she felt like she was ganged up on and she could hold her own, but it still just didn't feel good. So Sanya promises her if she has something on her mind that she'll speak on it right away and she won't wait. Thank you, Jesus. Let this be done. So they start talking about Ralph and Ross, and Sanya saying how busy Ross is and that he's not happy with her right now. So she talks about them going back and forth about wanting to have a second kid and her not knowing if she wants to have a second kid. She don't. Oh, you have to do that for your husband, Drew says. And Sanya's face was mine. Sanya was like, what? She's like, if you want to make your husband happy, I knew Ralph wanted another child. He wanted a girl. And so, I just had to go ahead and do that for him. I figured I have all, forever to continue to work. And Drew says that she was worried that he will resent her. And Sanya's like, what about the other way around? And Drew's like, think on it. Because she's like, well, it was like, well, what if he's not happy? Well, what if I'm not happy? What if he resents you? What if I resent him? And child, that is basically where we end. What did you guys think about the episode? Let me know down in the comments. I still think this season is moving along pretty well. Now, I wish these ladies would go back to the cute, classy reads and not this like bottom of the barrel, like really mean girl type of stuff. But that's just my opinion. If you've made it this far, put that Zen yoga emoji down in the comments because the ladies this episode definitely needed to chill. Looking at the previews, I cannot wait for episode 9, and I hope you'll come back and join me for my review or recap. While you're here, check out some of my other content. Thank you. And before you go, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you. Peace.